How many of us know exactly what we want to do since the age of 5? Datuk Nicol David is one such person. She has won the World Open title a record 7 times. Let's find out what keeps her ticking. Hi.
Hi.
Thank you for being on our show.
Thanks for having me.
So you've had a long career in squash, and then you told us earlier during your speech earlier that you had actually began at 5 years old. How do you know from such a young age that would be something that you want to do for the rest of your life?
Funny enough, it was more just me picking it up with my sisters, and at 5 years old, I just loved it from the very beginning, and I just played it and I had fun, and it just carried on to me traveling when I was 9, 10 years old around Malaysia, and then going overseas and meeting friends, and and that really just gave me a big step up to, okay, I want to do this better, and people have telling me about how you're pretty talented, you can go somewhere in the future. So I think from then on, I had a little boost to push myself further and further, and at 15, when I won my first World Junior title, that's when it sort of clicked, and I thought, yeah, maybe someday I'll be world champion, and my dream came true.
What about times where you've had particularly tough trainings, or even tough moments during your competitions? Do you ever feel like you want to give up? What actually keeps you motivated to stay on?
I think when you train, you have moments where, of course, everybody puts the work in. You're waking up in the morning and your body is aching, and you're just in bed hoping that you can't get up because you're too stiff, or you're hurting too much. But at the same time, if you put that, if you take that one day off of your training, it kind of you feel like you will take that next day off, and before you know it, your program is not fully set for what you're training towards.
Okay.
So if you just take that one day off and the next day off, before you know it, your preparation is not where you want it to be. And I've done all the preparation. I know for a fact that I've done it before. I've trained as hard as I could, and I followed a program, and when I did it all together, I could trust that when I go into a competition, everything will fall into place if I trust it. And I think that one day, if I think, I don't feel so good, but if I push through this, at the end of the day, I'm glad that I got through it, and that feeling of being on the court and doing your best, and everything comes together, your focus, your movement, it's very hard to explain the high that you get on the court, on the show court. Everybody's cheering for you, and you just want to keep doing that all the time and reaching to that optimal performance stage.
We've known you for all your winning streaks. We've always known Nicol David to be like 7 times World Series holder, right? So how do you what about the losses? Which loss do you remember vividly, actually?
Yeah, well, my losses are definitely things to remember, but those are the best turning points in my life, and my squash career, and also for my personal growth. One of my biggest loss was actually losing in the Asian Games in 2002, where I won it 4 years before, when I was 14, 15 years old, and to lose it the next time 4 years later was really devastating in the finals, and but that really gave me the turnaround of what I needed to do for myself, and I decided to move to Amsterdam and train with my current coach, Leaderonomics from Australia, former world number 2 and world champions for Australian team, and that was definitely my turning point of my career, of what I needed to do to be at the very best in the senior ranks. It's not just me depending on what I can do, but what I could do with what I have.
In your career in squash, basically, do you ever find yourself having to prove yourself to be measured on equal footing with men, especially?
With squash, it definitely has gone quite a far away from where it was to what it is right now. Definitely squash, and also a lot of sports, it's a male-dominant world, and definitely the attention is always on the men, and squash as well. But what has happened recently, even though we are at events with the men and the women are there at equal par, we get a lot of support from the spectators, because now the depth of the women's game has just grown leaps and bounds, and we get a lot of feedback from spectators saying how intense the women's game is, how they really enjoy watching the women play because of the quality that's there. And so we are definitely on par of what the men is at, and it's great to hear now people appreciating women's sport and women's squash, and we had our first US Open equal prize money for men and women last year. So that has really raised the bar for tournaments in America to have equal prize money, or raise the prize money for women's squash, and we will get, and hopefully get more other grand, like for us, World Series events instead of Grand Slams to really step up their mark.
You mentioned earlier as well that you got a lot of support from your family and your friends and teachers. How important is an environment to enable a woman to succeed?
It's very important. I think the appreciation and I think the love and support from my family has really given us the grounds to fall back on wherever we are. My sisters and I were always given the right tools and the great the love that you always carry it with you, and you also want to share it with other people. So I think that's why we surround ourselves with good people, and your team that you surround yourself with as well will give you the same support and guidance that you need to achieve and excel. That's the important part. It's up to you to create the environment, not only just expecting the environment to fall in place.
Yes.
You have to do it yourself and make the effort. But I've always been very fortunate that I have the right people around as well.
There's a saying actually that if one is stressed, one should either exercise or do sports. For someone who does sports for a living, how do you de-stress?
That's a good point actually. I was just talking to friends at the squash club that I'm training. So yeah, you come here to release stress, but I'm here for what I do. But I think I love what I'm doing, but I do like, I do a bit of street dancing, well, basics, not so crazy, but that's a little bit of my outlet that I can go and do a little bit of condition training in some parts, and I like to draw as well, so I do a bit of drawing in my free time. So you don't think about anything but what you're trying to do, follow a picture, and I love drawing, so I'm starting it back again, hopefully do it more often.
So in the foreseeable future, do you still see yourself doing squash? Maybe is there a timeline or something that you know?
There is a timeline for all squash players, but I think hopefully if my body is still in shape and I'm staying away from injuries, then I want to keep going till another 4 or 5 years, competitive squash, and afterwards hopefully I can maybe start my squash academy within the next 2 years to then establish my academy around Malaysia when I'm done. So
no drawing?
Yeah, and if I have time, of course I'll make time to maybe have my own design company, maybe do some product design, or who knows if I can collect enough art pieces or maybe sculptures that I can do. Maybe I have my own gallery, who knows. This is all
Sounds
really,
great.
yeah, this is all stuff that I want to do for fun and when I'm done. And do anything extreme sports.
Final question, actually it's more of a sentence for you to finish.
Yes.
So in light of the Women at Work Forum, if you could complete the sentence, what would you say? Basically, if a woman has truly made it, if she has?
A woman has truly made it if she has love and passion towards their full potential.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
No, thank you.
It was great to have you on our show.
Thanks.
And that was Datuk Nicol David. Thanks for watching.
See you. Thanks.